thank you for coming. This is the Tips for Regents Success with the TI-84 Plus. Any of the 84 Plus family members will work. My name is Dana Morse. My contact information is right there, dmorse@ti.com. And there's lots of resources at TI's website, education.ti.com. Okay, so the agenda for the time we have together, I want to share resources. Resources for both the educator and students. This is one of the most challenging school years, and we're going to get through it together. I'm going to share my favorite tips of the TI-84 Plus technology, and then we're going to go right into assessments using the TI-84 Plus. So the big joke is, math teachers, we've got lots of problems, and here I come with solutions. So we're right around the time of this recording, around the holiday season, and I've already heard that many schools are going to have to go virtual between Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. So the teachers need to have the TI teacher software. If you work with the 84 Plus family, we have TI SmartView. If you work with the Inspire, we have the TI Inspire CX Premium Teacher software. And because some of us monitor or work with middle school, we have the TI-30XS Multiview and the TI-34 Multiview. That 34 is the one that the test makers for New York State Middle School, Math 6 through 8, are leaning towards as being the embedded calculator. So I just put that out there anytime I'm talking with people that handle middle school. All you have to do, if you do not have access to this software, is email me. Some schools just have it for school use and not home use. So if there's a chance you could be going virtual, reach out to me. Let me know in your department how many would need it. So this is your first homework assignment. Ask around your department how many will need the software for the 84, for the Inspire, for the middle school models. Okay, what about for students? For students, if your school uses Chromebooks and the 84, TI has made the Chromebook app free through July 15th, 2021. So if they have access to the Chromebook from the school or their own personal Chromebook, you can reach out to me or go to TI's website and fill out a request, and I can give you the extension ID for the Chromebook app. Knowing that not every school has access to Chromebooks, the dealers made a new type of license for students. It's a 365-day license. This would be for schools that have Mac or Windows laptops, and the price ranges in the low teens. Most dealers I've seen at around $13 for the software for students to have. Okay? YouTube channel. This video, along with everything I've been doing since COVID broke out, is going to be posted to my YouTube channel. You can just search my name, Mr. Dana Morse, or afterwards I can send you a link to it. But I have broken down state exams, systems of equations, how to solve equations, how to graph, how to do inequalities. I have made 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute, up to an hour. Those are more for the teachers, but tech tip videos all on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Anytime I add something new, you'll be notified. It's something that I'm doing to just in-kind offer teachers assistance. Okay, so here I have a split screen, my TI SmartView CE for the 84 Plus family, and I have a few selected questions from various Regents exams. If you are at a school that doesn't have the CE, what's great about the latest version of the software is that you have a drop-down embedded in the software that allows you to go back and forth between the various models. So if you are trying to demonstrate and you have a mixture out there, you can quickly just change the model like that. Zoom is how we're doing this meeting today. And through Zoom, there is a remote control feature. A lot of teachers and schools reached out to me once August hit and they knew that they were going to do virtual. How can we get students access to a graphing calculator? The remote control feature, if you're not familiar with Zoom, as the leader, I can click on remote control. I could click on Cody's name, and I believe Cody just needs to click somewhere on his screen, and then he will have access to the presenter screen. So those who can see the video right now, my hands are up here, but if you're looking at the screen I'm sharing, Cody has control. So if you have students who log in who might not have access to a calculator at home, this is a way to give them access. Maybe you do office hours, asynchronized teaching, what have you. If you have the software on your computer and do a Zoom meeting, you can give them access to the software. And there's a little link that says to stop, abort control. So now I have access to my software and have taken away the ball from Cody. So that's just a tip, nothing to do with the TI technology, just to do with Zoom meetings. Okay, things that I really want people to know about the 84 family. You must know by now the math print exists. Okay, so no one is doing fractions the old school method like that, and no button memorization of saying math, fracket, because we all live in upstate New York and fracking means something totally different. That's my one joke for the presentation. There you go. Okay, so you know about the fractions, and hopefully you know about all the math templates. I find it's great to share this. The absolute value template. We as math teachers have this innate instinct in us that we have to be correct all the time. And we model for the kids the mathematics done properly. We need to show the kids what happens when a mistake is made. The graphing calculator has a negative and a minus key. The computer keyboards that these kids grow up on don't have two. So it wouldn't be a big deal for them to make a mistake. They hit the minus button and then 5. If I press enter, I get an error message. The kids need to see this error message before they get to a high-stakes exam. We don't want them to quit. We want them to choose number 2, go to. When you choose go to, it puts the cursor on the character that doesn't belong. That minus button shouldn't be there. That minus sign should be a negative. Something as simple as that. Show the kids that you are human, that you too make mistakes. They could go all school year hitting the negative in the proper location, get to that Regents and do it wrong, and that's when you can't help them. You can't answer a question. Show them how to diffuse a situation. Another thing I love to show is that when I hit graph, my graph screen has grid lines on. This is an 84 plus CE feature. So grid lines are always on the CE. How I did this? Second zoom for the format feature. And the third line down, the default on all the graphing calculators is grid off. I go over to grid line and press enter. If you have the traditional 84, you don't have grid lines. But what you do have, second zoom, is you have, well, it says grid on. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. It has grid dots. And that at least allows the kids to see, they can count dots. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's 3, 2. It gives them a better spatial awareness. It's not perfect, but it's a solution. And one more thing I really like to share is that I like multiple representations. If I have the graph here, I'd love to see a table simultaneously. if you go to Mode, go down to the word Full, and then over to Graph Table or GT on the traditional 84s, and press Enter. Now when you press Graph, you get a split screen that will have the graph on the left, the table on the right, and you can scroll through the table to see where those points line up. And we'll get into that when we break down the state exams. So I'll start with the Algebra 1 June 2019 exam. The expression w to the fourth minus 36 is equivalent to. The first things my students would do when they sat for the state exam is they would pick an arbitrary value. I always advise them to do 12.3, a non-integer value. The store button is located directly above on. It says stow. And then I would store it into the variable of my choice. The question has W, so I break out the bifocal lenses, and I find W in green above the subtraction key, alpha minus, which is the W, and I press Enter. And all it says is 12.3. But now, once I've put a value into W, I can type in the expression that's given. We prepare the kids to take a math test. It says it right here on the button, math test. Second, math to access the test feature. Here are my equals and inequalities. So I'll select number 1, and I can set it equal to the answers down below. Open parentheses, W squared plus 6, close parentheses, open parentheses, W squared minus 6. This is answer 4. When I press Enter, I get instant feedback. A 1 tells me true. I earned a point. Well, I wouldn't be doing it service if I just went with that. I have to show that answer 3 is not the answer. Answer 3 has W squared minus 6, W squared minus 6. So if I overwrite and I press Enter, I see that I earned 0 credit. What this is doing is taking the 12.3 stored in for W and saying 12.3 to the fourth minus 36 equals, and the right-hand side substituting in 12.3. Why 12.3? I taught Algebra 1. If a student decided to go with 2, and then they asked, Mr. Morse, x times x, does that equal 2x? They know it's either 2x or x squared. You've heard the kids ask this before. Second, math to access the test feature. If that student thought it was equal to 2x, look what I stored in for x. They would get this false reality that they could just add the coefficients and get 2x. That worked for this circumstance. That is why we avoid integers. We don't want these false positives happening. The arrow on the store button, I just said go with the flow. Go with the arrow. 12.3, store into the variable x. And that from that point on, anytime you use x, you're golden. You, on that one feature alone, can most likely pass the Algebra 1 Regents exams. Question 2, if f of x equals 4x plus 5, what is the value of f of negative 3? I saw this done and I was blown away. A great method is to go to y equals and type in the function given to you. So y1 is equal to 4x plus 5. Second mode, quit out of my y equals. Alpha trace. Here is a shortcut for all of your y functions. If you select y1 right now, open parentheses, -3. The -3 is the x value. You're substituting in -3 into y1, and you're computing it and getting -7. Answer 2. This is how I would teach kids to create a table. Alpha trace, select y1, substitute in 0. Up arrow twice, press enter, replace the 0 with a 1. The students are actively engaged with creating the inputs. They're selecting the 0, 1, 2, and they're getting these outputs. Every time I go up by 1, the output goes up by 4. A great way to show the kids slope. Now, when I was in the classroom, this didn't exist. And I would tell the kids, press second graph, there's the table, copy it down. That's okay. But the kids don't really have value with it. They're disconnected from this table. Putting them in one value at a time, very powerful. And because some of us might work with calculus, pre-calc level, what about limits? Approach 2 from the left-hand side. I could select y1, open parentheses, and put in 1.9. I could up arrow twice, replace that with 1.99. And I can start to see what it's approaching. So a cool tip that you can mix in with this right here on number 2. Number 17, from the same exam, they didn't even change the variable. W. 4w squared minus 11w minus 3. It's another factoring problem. So I have, let's go with 12.3 store w. And again, just for good measure, 4x squared minus 11w minus 3, second math, set it equal, and I will go with, open parentheses, let's go with 4w plus 1, and go with a w minus 3. That is answer 3. And I can get that instant feedback. What I strongly recommend, something I did in the classroom, we want the kids to be prepared for the New York State Regents exam. And teachers know you can pull from old state exams. It's all public domain. Give them old state exam questions, but take away the multiple choice answers. Show them this feature. Make them earn it. When you start to review for the state exam, show them the test-taking strategy of setting the expression equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just a good way to build math confidence, and when they see that they actually get to set them equal to answers, they will do phenomenal on the state exam. Passing should no longer be an issue. 18. Well, 18, 3x squared minus x plus 7. You could go to your table. You could go to the graph. Now, they were sneaky. They put it so that some of the points don't lie on the traditional graph screen. When this happens, that's when you can go back to what I was just showing, put in y1, and then put in values from the answer, the x value. When I put in 1.25, I get a result of 10.4375. That doesn't compute. It should have been 10.25, which does not lie on the graph. That's the one. But don't take my word for it. Try a different answer. Answer 2, 0.5. And I get 7.25. The technology can be wonderful. All of this can be done on all the 84s. 27. This can be done exactly as you see it on a TI-84 plus CE. So those who might have access, or you can demonstrate this to the students with this software. How you do it. You go to y equals. Clear out whatever's in there. Press the math button once. Press the up arrow twice. Piecewise is built in now on the 84 plus CE. When I select it, I can see how many pieces I wish to have. The exam question has 2 pieces, so I will left arrow, and now it says 2 pieces. I'll down arrow and select OK. That looks exactly like what's on the exam. This is called math print. The more it looks like what you're seeing, the easier for the user experience. Absolute value. I already talked about this. Alpha window. Absolute value of x, and then I press the right arrow to navigate. -5 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 2. So I have x is greater than -5, greater than or equal to, but less than 2. I'll start by putting in -5. And I'm glad everybody's sitting down, because this is awesome. That test feature, second math. If you knew about that test feature before, you've gone here many times. You have a new menu that was never there before. We've always had test and logic. There's a new one called conditions. And all of the conditions are built in. I need less than or equal to x and less than 2. Option 7. And I put in a 2. I right arrow to get to the next spot in my template. -2x plus 10. Right arrow. I put in my 2. Second math. Over to conditions. This one I'll need number 5 because the symbols match exactly up. And 6. So graph the following piecewise function on the following axes. When I press graph, there you have it. And you can put your cursor in the table, second graph, and you can scroll in the table, and now you can see those points where they line up on the screen. Ooh, both of these inequalities had 2, one inclusive, one not. It's great to see how it jumps when we're at that point. Y equals, clear out what's in there. Number 37, still the same exam. When visiting friends in a state that has no sales tax, I'm glad that they put that in there, 2 families went fast food shopping for lunch, the Browns and the Greens. The Browns bought 4 cheeseburgers and 3 medium fries for a total of $16.53, and the Greens bought 5 cheeseburgers and 4 medium fries for a total of $21.11. Systems of linear equations is going to be on your state exam. It's going to. Use the technology to help. What I show students, alpha, zoom. Both models of the 84 have this. The only difference is whereas this one writes it vertically, when you do alpha zoom on the grayscale, it does it horizontally. The kids can handle that. So you navigate into your little table here. I need 2 rows, 3 columns. If you teach Algebra 2 or supervise Algebra 2, and there's the three equations, x, y, z, you would do a 3 by 4. This method works for that too. I select OK, and I see the outline for what is going to be my system of equations. 4, right arrow, 3 medium fries, right arrow, and the total was $16.53, right arrow. Second equation is going to have 5, 4, and then $21.11. So the X's and the Y's aren't showing up, but we just take the meat and potatoes, burgers and fries, meat and potatoes, I didn't even plan that joke, and put it in there. Now, we go into the matrix feature on the 84 family. Second matrix. We arrow over to the math menu within the matrix feature, and there's buried treasure at the bottom of this menu. And the buried treasure is what pirates love. What here catches your eye? If you're a pirate, you would say R. RREF, reduced row echelon form. I use this in the classroom. The kids totally wrap their heads around it. You up arrow. You can't copy and paste the answer. It's got to be an original. Press enter for the copy and paste. Close parentheses. Remember, burgers are in the first column. Fries are in the second column. And the cost is in the third column. When I press enter, 1 burger, no fries, $2.79. So a burger's $2.79. 0 burgers and 1 medium fry is $1.79. So fries are $1.79. You have your solution right there. Now, this is a free response question. You're going to need to show some type of work. But if I scroll to this question, January 2020, this was a part 1 question. Which system of equations has the same solution as the system below? So on this question, kids have to solve the given problem, and then they have to solve 1, 2, 3, 4 until they find the same solution. For 2 points, how much time could your students be spending? And if they're anything like mine, if they didn't guess right on option 1, they were just going to guess one. They didn't have the patience to do another, yet another, and another. I think it's good for me to show that process again because it seems difficult up front, first time seeing it. Let's actually work smarter instead of harder. I'm going to start by going into the matrix, over to math, and find reduced row echelon form, RREF. I'm going to use that shortcut, alpha zoom, and make sure I have a 2 by 3 matrix. I'll put in the coefficients from the original problem. 3, -1, 7, 2, 3, 12. Because I started with the RREF, I don't have to do extra steps. I can just press enter, and I can see 3 for x, 2 for y, 3, 2. Which of these has that solution? Well, not sure how I feel about this, but I'm going to go copy and paste, go through it with answer 2. 18, -6, 42. 4, 6, 24. Look at that. They're identical. This is not the way to teach the kids how to solve systems of equations. You're going to teach substitution method. You're going to teach elimination or combination method. You're going to teach graphical. But give the students every tool for their Batman utility belt. Show them all the possible methods. P.S. I have a 2-minute to 3-minute video doing exactly this on my YouTube channel. They don't have to watch an hour-long video to get this. Find on the YouTube channel that nugget, send it to them, the link, when it's appropriate. Okay, so let's find another question. Number 5. Now, this is from that January 2020. Question 5. Which value of x makes this equation true? If I went to math, up arrowed once, there's a numeric solver or a solver on the traditional 84s, which we can use. The 84 CE makes it a little bit more easy, but you can do this on both. Alpha, y equals, to get the fraction, x minus 3 in the numerator, 4 for the denominator, plus 2/3. So that's the left-hand side, expression 1. The right-hand side should be 17/12. 84 CE, shortcut, alpha x. That's a shortcut for getting a fraction template. 17/12. As soon as I type something into expression 2, this little pop-up OK appears. And it shows up directly above the graph button. So when I press graph, it takes me to this new screen, and I see my equation. I could guess any one of these solutions, but I have a student who thinks the answer is 10. That's fine. If I press graph to solve it, it shows me if there's a little box in front of the x, that's the solution. X equals 6. Now, how does this feature really work? Let me show you. X squared minus 5x equals 6. If I select OK, which is graph, there's my equation, and I can put in a guess across from x. This student thinks the answer is 10. I can press graph. It does not, even though it's degree 2, show both solutions. What this algorithm is doing is it will find the x value that is closest to your starting guess. So if I guess 10, the closest solution on the number line is 6. If I were to guess -10 and were to solve it, the closest solution is -1. So a student does not need to know the answer, but needs to know, hey, it's degree 2, I should have 2 solutions. This feature I save for very late in the school year. You show this September, October, November, you're not going to have many students showing much work at all. I do feel compelled to go to the 84 Plus to show how it is different. Math, up arrow, solver. You don't get 2 boxes and say expression 1, expression 2. You got to get it equal to 0. So I'm going to do that same example. X squared minus 5x minus 6. You don't get that little pop-up that says, OK. You either have to press the down arrow or enter. You get the next screen, which is kind of like the previous one, and it has a value across from x. I'm going to guess 10. It didn't pop up with solve. But for years, we've been using this 83 or 84, and it said in green, solve above enter. What was that solve for? This feature. Press alpha, enter. The first solution, 6. I'm going to guess negative 10, alpha, enter. Negative 1. So the only difference is really you got to get it equal to 0. That might be difficult for some students. I'm thinking a volume of a rectangular prism type problem. V equals length times width times height. Well, if I were to put in length, width, height, but the V used to be over here. How do I move the volume, the V, over to the other side? I have to subtract it. So something like this might be helpful for students to understand how this tool works. Now, I think of Algebra 1 and the counting principle. I think about how many suits can Mr. Green have if he has 5 ties, 4 shirts, and X number of pairs of suits or whatever. The counting principle. Volume equals length times width times height. In our problem, we're going to say that the length is 8. The width is 6. We don't know the height, but the volume is 144 cubic centimeters. You put in the information that's given, put your cursor, your mouse, on the missing information, alpha, enter. And the little box tells you that's the solution. This is a hidden gem on the 84 technology. Very few people know about it. It can be beneficial, but in the wrong hands, it could hurt. So how you share it with students is very important. Number 6, which expression's equivalent? Store 12.3 into x, set it equal to the answers. Same exam, question 12. Same thing. The solutions, I would do that equation solver, and you could set left side equal to right side. Which expression is not equal to? So 3 of these is going to yield a 1. One of them will give you a 0. That's what you're looking for. System of equations. Ooh, I'm glad I get to share this one. Same exam, systems of inequalities. So for systems of inequalities, it used to be that you had to turn off all of the apps on the 84. I'm not sure if many people saw this, but March 2nd, 2020, a week before everything shut down, New York State Department of Ed created a new graphing calculator guideline. And in the guideline, it was asked about apps. As long as you turn off or don't have any apps that perform symbolic manipulation, CAS features, you are able to use apps. So the Inequality app has been wonderful. Very few people even know about it. I'm going to demonstrate it. This is the Inequality app. It's free. If you press apps on your calculator and all you see is finance, you've reset your calculator too many times the wrong way and you lost everything. I will email me off after this video. I'll show you how to get the apps back. Okay, the Inequality app. You know what? Just going to show you how it works. You can then apply it to a problem like this. So let's say it was 2x plus 3. How you work this app, is you go all the way over to the left-hand side on a CE, you press enter, you go down to the Y, and you can now go through all of the options. Look at that. It has the inequality, and it's going to show it with a dashed line. Go to Y2. I'll put in negative x. Go over to the style portion, change it, and then say OK. When I graph it, there's your system of inequalities. This app can be left on. It's pretty much the same on the regular 84. Apps. Alpha I is a shortcut to get to the I in the alphabet. Select inequals. The number one call we get in our tech support. Where is the any key? I know everybody's muted right now, but you're laughing. There are a lot of calls that come in. Where is the any key? Okay. How this is different when you're on the inequality or the equal sign, I believe we press second and then the button. What? It wasn't that. So it's alpha and then the button. And notice it now has the dashed line shading below. So again, these top 5 options match up with these top 5 buttons. Press alpha and then the button that you want to get it. If you've never played here before, you might like the fact that there's an x equals in the upper left-hand corner. You could never graph x equals before. Well, now you can. Press enter, and now I have x equals, put in 5, graph it, and you will see x equals 5. How do I turn this off? On the CE, go up to the top line, quit the application. On the traditional 84, go back to apps, go back to inequals, select it, and quit it. So hopefully that's a tip you can take back, the fact that you can use the apps. Algebra 1, August 2019. This expression is equivalent to, that's that 12.3 again. Number 4, you could use the solver. You could actually plug in x values to see which one makes it true. 8, expressions equivalent. Here's one, number 11. Here's a graph, which one's equivalent. The kids might get a kick out of this. X squared plus 24x minus 18. And the kids always want to see what it looks like. Okay, well, it doesn't look pretty right now. You might have to play around with your window. Let's go with a x minimum of negative 25. And now hit graph. What the kids could do is they could then graph the other equations, trying to see which one lines up. So I'm just going to go quickly with x squared because of time. Oops, it wasn't x squared. It was x plus 12 quantity squared minus 162. Don't even know if this is going to be the same. Look at that. Lined right up. I got lucky. But the people that don't have color, what could you do? Well, you probably knew about the style of line. What I like to share is the little circle with a line attached. With this feature, you will get the original, and then you'll see it trace right over that. So on the grayscale 84s, you can see that it traces right over your function. They asked another question just like that system of equations for 2 points. Here's a system. Here are 4 other systems, which is equivalent. I'm telling you, the graphing calculator tips can really be useful. I'm going to wrap it up with number 25. I feel like this is just a hidden gem very few people know about. Put in the problem for negative 4x squared minus 3x plus 2. I can then second mode out of this, alpha trace, select y1, and it says for negative 2. I really should have good syntax and put it in parentheses, and I get the negative 8. Another way for doing this, let me get back to my traditional window. Graph it. You could look at the table for negative 2, or second trace the value feature, very underutilized. You can put in that value and it will show it on the graph. So I thank you for coming to this session. Hopefully there's tips and tricks that you saw here. Again, my YouTube channel, let's bring that up, is already broken down into short tech tip videos, breaking down state exams for the 84, for the Inspire, how to solve systems of equations, how to do inequalities, deep dives into algebra and geometry, even coding. If your school is into coding, I've got tips on that. Right triangle trigonometry. Videos that are not meant to replace teachers, just trying to help teachers.